So is the curtain falling on big ticket Android updates? Does that yearly cycle matter anymore, or is it just a sign of the times and there isn't really left much to add to our smartphones? Let's get into it in this video and some solutions that potentially Google has at some point in the future. Before then though, we are well on the road to 400,000 subscribers, so do me a solid and slap that subscribe button for more Android content just like this, especially if we get more stuff to tell you about, and I'll get into that in just a second. Cheers. So if you cast your mind back, not that long ago, the December 2025 Pixel drop marked a milestone for several reasons. It was the 4th year of quarterly platform releases, which were formerly Pixel drops. Like all good things though, this could be the end of the format as we once knew it, although nothing has been made concrete just yet. Think back to the last time you had a truly massive update on your phone that affected how you used it daily. I'm not talking about little things here and there. It was probably a long time ago, right? What is clear is that in the future, larger pre-packaged releases could be split up like they were for the first time last year with Android 16 and 16 QPR1. This will affect Pixel phones first and foremost, as we get functionality and features at an even more regular rate than it could ever have been done before. If this does sound somewhat familiar, it's kind of because it is. It reminds us heavily of those 0.1 update days of yesteryear, repackaged once again. If you didn't already know, Apple has been doing this for a long time. Perhaps Google feels it's time to do it all over again as the Pixel gains traction globally, especially in iPhone heavy markets. I do think it's an interesting strategy, but one that could really pay dividends for owners of Pixel phones and Google too. So you're probably wondering, could this be a ploy from Google to shift even more Pixel phones? Well, I think that could be a genuine reason, but I feel like this is a knock-on effect from the merging of the Android and Pixel teams, which happened just a few years ago. The fruits of that alignment mean that there is less of a separation between Android and Pixel team, and this has probably helped improve the speed of development for the most important hardware in Google's portfolio, aka the Pixel lineup. There is a big incentive for lots of technology makers to try and get us to upgrade and switch as well, well that's practically the MO of the entire industry. But as we are holding onto our phones longer than ever before, it is getting more and more difficult for them to do this. Not to argue for this, but you might also care less about software updates if you are going to buy a new phone or you're looking to switch. Conversely, you might switch regularly if you're not bothered by it either. Features do often get held back or have timed exclusivity periods. Annoying as that may be, it is just part of the cycle and it's part of capitalism. To be fair to Google, we often do see features get back ported where possible or where there is enough interest. It just tends to be later down the line once interest may have waned a little bit or they've had a little bit of time to sell those devices with those key features. You may also have noticed a distinct shift away from brands over the past 18 months or shift towards to try to sell phones less on their hardware or internal specifications, as almost every single maker is now trying to integrate AI somewhere or somehow, even if it doesn't really truly elevate that core experience you have day to day. What's more, Gemini has been a massive component of the Pixel marketing campaigns as of late, with less time being allocated to those pure Android functions in ads, billboards, and other media online. AI development does move at a much faster rate than Android does. It is glacial compared to what Gemini and AI can do. So I think a pertinent question that we can't really answer is whether we start to see Gemini as Android takes more of a backseat. It probably is going to be the case, at least for the interim. You don't also need to push huge OTAs with these cloud-based functions, as AI is basically means that everyone will get features at the same time whenever Google thinks they're ready. And with so much money tied up in AI, this feels like it could be something that the company can leverage over or come more in the coming years. If you have an older phone that isn't getting as many updates from the developer or the actual maker of the phone, so long as AI-powered apps on your phone are up to date by the Play Store, you still get new functions like Gemini Live and Gemini Live Video, and that could in turn be a really powerful component as part of Google's arsenal. One of Google's solutions though to help the Android part of this entire equation is the Android Canary program. So this new strategy, which was launched, I think it was in July 2025, aims for the rapid development of the Android platform, the Android that runs on your phone, your tablet, and hopefully more hardware in future. So using the foundations or the same foundations as a Chrome Canary program, this is the true bleeding edge of Android updates. It's a test bed for all of those cutting edge features that could come in your next update on your phone, your tablet, or even your computer. It is no secret that we'll see some form of desktop version of Android in the coming years, and Canary feels like that natural progression as Chrome OS. slowly fades away into, I'm going to say, corporate obscurity, although that seems a bit harsh. With lots to do ahead of any public reveal, Android Canary is very much the tip of the spear. It is the canary in the mine, as it were. Make it fast, break things, but ultimately we get builds faster and with features that are tested with a wide group of people almost on a weekly basis, but it doesn't seem to be the case so far. It tends to be more monthly. Like any developer preview, Canary is not for the faint-hearted though. Nobody should run this on their primary device, as things will break or stop working as intended. That said, instead of waiting months for those public Android developer previews ahead of that new big version, be that 17, 18, whatever it is, Canary just keeps that ball rolling constantly, which is kind of an interesting way to actually handle this. Those regular public beta builds can quickly incorporate these functions as well that have already been tested extensively in Canary builds, allowing for things to get integrated really quickly as per Google's own plans. For me, this feels like a win-win, as if you're foolhardy enough, you get a real glimpse of what is to come from Android sooner than ever before, while this could be a quick way to shore up leaks and loopholes that may be a big component or a problem area for Android across the entire industry. Let's not forget though that monthly or regular patches are still going to be essential and shouldn't be confused with these larger yearly releases. For the most part, these are a bit of a different beast. Those regular security bulletins help patch bugs, software loopholes, and generally just ensure that your phone is safe from things like malware and dodgy software. Lots of brands still leave some phones behind though with those monthly updates. It's a frustration that we've had for a long time, although it is getting better. This is another argument entirely, but it's something we hope can be a greater focus point now, especially for lots of those cheaper hardware or cheaper devices that litter the market. Mid-range and budget phones still need their own updates and often just get left behind time and time again. That's the only fault of, of device manufacturers, as they prioritize those new releases, and it often means you can't use specific applications like banking services, as update support is so poor within just a few months that years down the line, you kind of have a little bit of a paperweight in the grand scheme of things. Google's new strategy doesn't actually account for this with those regular monthly patches, but I do think those regular security patches are still going to be a key component in their own right and shouldn't be ignored wholesale, especially as we're seeing many cheap phones start to ship with 4+ years of support slated right out the box. I think it's great when companies say this when a phone launches, but it's not that good if you only get 1 or 2 updates per year. Just note that this isn't something that we really know what's going to happen, but I'm hopeful that with more regular development, it does mean that developers out there and hardware manufacturers are going to start pushing to update more of their lineup a lot more readily. My biggest key takeaway after looking into this a little bit more deeply is that yes, Android updates do still matter, but maybe not in the ways that you expected. We will get them, it just means you're not going to get those drastic changes like we maybe did in the years gone by. Another thought I've had is that from all of these potential changes that Google is making, hopefully Android is just going to get better and better as a platform, which is obviously something we care about here on the channel. The ball is going to be though in Samsung, Oppo, Xiaomi, Honor, Motorola, anyone else is out there's court. If Google really ramps up these mini releases, these companies now have to start going to bat and really putting the effort in to get these versions updated on their phones in a timely manner as well. I do think for Pixel owners, it's completely rosy as far as we're concerned. It's going to be a really exciting time as well. Even if those big one-time drops that we used to get once a year with tons of changes, features and whatnot are really less common, hopefully we'll get more smaller bite-sized chunks for sustenance rather than a hearty meal after what sometimes feels like months of crumbs and crumbs and crumbs, and then finally we get something that's a little bit more sustainable, if it makes sense. For Android fans, I think this is a way better way to handle updates moving forward. I think in years gone by, it's always felt like the phone that you buy specifically with Pixels will only get better with updates. With even more regular updates and functionality improving additions, I mean, hyperbole aside, I do think we could be on the cusp of a bit of a golden age for Android once again, especially if this does actually come to fruition and really start working out as Google probably hopes it does. I want to ask you though, what do you reckon? I'm genuinely very excited for more regular stuff, as it were. I think it beats waiting and praying that something might happen or might come to fruition, as yeah, we see certain functionalities that take years to actually make it to Android proper, but maybe the Canary program is that first step into something a little bit better for us all in future. Let me know what you think down in the comment sections below. Do you think Android updates matter as much as they used to, or big Android updates is probably what this should be called? Cheers for watching though, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment sections below, and I'll speak to you later.